I think it's funny that a lot of people have been talking about teams that they would like to avoid in the play-in tournament and also teams that they would like to play. Not just in the play-in tournament, but also in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I've heard a lot of Lakers fans say things like, imagine playing 82 games, working really hard all season to get the 1 or the 2 seed, and then having to play LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook in round 1. Let me backtrack a little because they usually do not include Russell Westbrook in that statement. They say imagine having to play LeBron James and Anthony Davis in round 1. While I would typically never want to have to play LeBron James round 1 regardless of what the team around him looks like, what about the Los Angeles Clippers? What about the team that's been quietly weathering what's been a horrific storm all season? Injuries suck, but the reality is that every team has them. The Los Angeles Clippers have played a large part of this season without 2 top 15 players. They've also been missing a key role player or 2. But here's the thing, they just got one of those top 15 players back. After the Clippers had just lost 5, his return could not have come at a better time. This video, we have a ton to talk about, but before we go any further, let's get a word from our sponsor. Today we'll be partnering with Dr. Squatch. They make these all-natural bars of soap, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, I mean you name it, and they have it. Let's check out some of the stuff they sent me. We're going to start off with gold moss. We've also got a little bit of cedar citrus right here, and of course my personal favorite, pine tar. Pine tar smells great all of the time. It's like people know when I use this soap. I mean, it just feels so natural. Look at that. That's great. Now, I'm sure when I told you guys that Dr. Squatch was natural, some people didn't believe me, but check it out. Boom. You can literally recognize all of the names on the ingredients. I love transparency. I love feeling and smelling good, and that's why I love Dr. Squatch. If you don't believe me, try a bar of Dr. Squatch out for yourself, or try out their shampoo, which, by the way, smells ridiculously good. Now you know Now you know I had to get you guys with the code. New customers can get 20% off an order of $20 or more when they use my code DSQLikeCoop and click the link down in the description below. I want to give a major shout out to Dr. Squatch for supporting our channel. Coming into the game versus Utah, the Los Angeles Clippers had just lost their last 5. They dropped games to Philadelphia, Denver, Utah, Toronto, and Cleveland. The Cleveland game was actually an overtime game, but right before that game, they barely beat the Detroit Pistons, who, to be fair, have been playing teams very competitively this season. I've got a lot of love for Detroit, and I think that we're well overdue for a Cade Cunningham breakdown or even a Marvin Bagley breakdown. This guy's been quietly turning things around in the Motor City. While none of the teams that I named were bad, there were definitely bad losses mixed into that losing streak. Even though in the regular season, Memphis has been jaw-dropping without Ja, I really don't believe that any team is built to win in the postseason without its best players. For most teams in the NBA, missing 2 of your best players would be a very tough pill to swallow. The Clippers have constructed their roster in a way that uplifts Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, while at the same time Paul George and Kawhi are able to uplift their roster. What I'm trying to say is that this Clippers team has its own identity and its roster has been constructed the right way. Far too often in the NBA, I see rosters that really don't make any sense. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, there's one thing that you would really know about me, and that's the fact that I love long, versatile players. I love wings that can do multiple things. I've said multiple times that I think wing talent in the NBA is at a premium. I think it's at an all-time high. I feel like if I was constructing an NBA roster and I was building a team from scratch, I would shape my roster like the Boston Celtics or the Los Angeles Clippers. Give me 2 guys on the perimeter that are going to set the tone for my team, not just offensively, but also on the defensive side of the basketball. Give me multiple guys at 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", who have the ability to switch. I can't tell you guys how many times I've seen good centers get played off of the floor because they cannot guard pick and rolls or because small ball would render them helpless. This isn't really me taking a shot at Rudy Gobert, but this is me saying that if you take Rudy Gobert out of the paint, that Utah Jazz defense is going to fall apart. Do I need to bring up the Terrence Mann game from last season? The Los Angeles Clippers have a 22-27 record without Paul George this season. They're 15-12 when he plays. 15-12 might not be groundbreaking to some people, but if you watch the games, the impact that Paul George has on this team is night and day. We're talking about somebody this season that's averaging 24.7 points per game, 7.1 rebounds per game, and 5.5 assists per game. In Los Angeles, PG is essentially a point guard. And if you ask me, I'd tell you that he's one of the toughest out. Not only is he going to create a lot of offensive opportunities for your team, but on defense, he's going to save a ton of points. Look at this sequence by Paul George. He's guarding a point guard in Mike Conley. He snakes around a Rudy Gobert screen. The result of the play? PG picking Mike Conley's pocket. I can't put into words how impressive this play is by Paul George. Rudy Gobert is indisputably leading the league in screen assists, averaging 6.4 a game. This is just the type of defender that Paul George is. It's crazy to think that this team is also without Kawhi Leonard. The Kawhi Leonard situation is a little weird. January 6th, it was reported that Kawhi Leonard was ahead of schedule in his rehab, and there's a strong possibility that he could return this season. Then February 4th, Ty Lue came out and said, "We know Kawhi Leonard is probably not going to come back." Fast forward to March 10th, and we're getting reports that Kawhi has participated in a rigorous pregame workout that lasted for well over an hour. Chris Haynes reports that he was told it was his first extended workout that he's performed in front of media members. From his observation, he has zero limitations, yet still the Clippers are being cautious. Still no timetable for the return. I love Kawhi Leonard, man. I think he's a top 5 player when he's healthy and playing at the level that we know that he can play at. Last season in the playoffs, I mean, this guy was just an absolute machine. When we were in the playoffs last season, on our podcast, I said that Kawhi was on a mission, and I got torn apart for that. And then the next game, he goes out and he drops 45 points on 18 of 25 from the field. He did this in a must-win Game 6 versus the Dallas Mavericks. It's crazy to think about this Clippers team and the slander that they've gotten and how good that they could be and have been. I think there's an argument to make that if the Clippers stay healthy last season, there's a chance that they're the NBA champions. Yes, this team lost in the conference finals to the Phoenix Suns last year, but that series easily could have went to 7. A lot of people forgot about the way that Game 2 ended with that lob to DeAndre Ayton. The injuries for the Clippers this season have been tough, but hopefully this team is getting healthy at the right time. Reportedly, the Clippers hope to have Norman Powell back in the next 7 to 10 days. Powell's another guy that's a nice defender that can go out and get you 20 on any given night. Now, of course, I can't show Powell love without showing some love to my guy Rocco. He's another guy with the ability to match up all over the floor, while having the ability to knock down the 3 ball, which he's been doing a great job of so far in Los Angeles. Paul George's return allows a lot of these Clippers role players to go back into their defined roles and focus on playing these roles to perfection. With Paul George's return, Luke Kennard went 4 of 7 from deep, with one of his final trays coming off of a Paul George kickout to give the Clippers the lead late. After the game, Kennard said that it was nice to get some catch and shoot threes. While we're talking about three-point shooters, I actually believe that Paul George is a very underrated one. He creates a lot of his own looks. Isolation, pull-up, step back. For Paul George, it really doesn't matter because the chances are that he's going to knock it down. He's got multiple seasons shooting over 7 threes a game at 40% or higher. I think that Paul George is actually one of the best shooters in the game. How do you guard somebody at his size that has everything in their bag that can knock down threes with absurd efficiency? PG hadn't played since December, and he still found a way to give the Utah Jazz 34 points, 6 assists, and 4 steals in his first game back. I told you guys he could shoot, right? Well, he hit 6 out of 9 threes in his return, helping the Clippers rally from being down 25 at one point. In January, this team overcame a 35-point deficit against the Washington Wizards, which would tie the second largest deficit overcame since 1997. I feel like this team has learned a lot since its 3-1 collapse. I think in large part, that's due to their growth as a team, but that's also due to the coaching of Ty Lue. When asked about the Utah Jazz collapse, Donovan Mitchell said, I don't know. It's the same crap. I don't know. Is everybody thinking what I'm thinking? Maybe we make a video on the Utah Jazz soon? Guys, just let me know. I talked a lot about versatility this video, but I didn't get to focus on Batum. I didn't get to focus on Reggie Jackson, who's done a great job shouldering the load. I didn't get to focus on Terrence Mann, who's like the ultimate chess piece. And I also didn't get to focus on somebody that's become a key rotation piece for this team, Isaiah Hartenstein. I think that Hartenstein should definitely be a starter somewhere as opposed to on the bench. I thought Hartenstein had very high potential coming into the league. He's one of those athletic mobile bigs that plays with a lot of effort that can do pretty much anything. I had a very early video on my channel comparing him to a poor man's Serge Ibaka. Yeah, we're not going to get into that right now. Hartenstein is only 23. Do not sleep. Shout out to Zubac for man in the middle. Your impact goes far beyond the stat sheet. Let me know what you guys think of the video and everything going on with the Clippers, including Paul George's return. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop. Until our next upload.